Hey, what's up? This is Jason from AtomicMartian Toy Reviews. Now, recently we got a viewer email and he wanted to know how we open our action figures and if there's any tips or anything we can share with other people as far as opening them and not completely destroying the packaging. So I thought I'd share with you some tips that I use when I'm opening my figures.
Alright, first things first, you need some supplies when you're opening any package. I have some clippers here for those pesky little rubber bands they like to wrap figures in. Of course, I have a box cutter, so I don't just rip the package apart like an animal, like it's some barbarian or something. And you never know when you might need some scissors. So these are some of the tools that I use when I'm opening packages. Alright, now the first package I'm going to show you my technique on opening is this Iron Grenadier from G.I. Joe 30th Anniversary. Now, I really enjoy the background image of this package, and I like to maintain it. I don't want to damage it or destroy it. I would like to be able to either cut out the fog card on the back or put it on my wall as like decoration. So my goal opening this is to open it without doing any damage to the background or the image of the package. I start with my Cobalt utility knife here. Now you want to be really careful with this. You don't want to accidentally stab yourself in the hand or do some damage. And also you want to make sure that the razor blade on this thing is sharp. Is if you try to cut the package open with the dull razor blade, you could damage the figure or do a very poor job cutting it. Now what I do is I usually try to start pretty close to the bottom. A lot of times I will lay the utility knife directly on the card here. I make a little incision into the package and I just do a line going down the side. Generally there's no weapons or anything like that on the side of the packaging, so you don't have to really worry about hitting the figure. There is a weapon here on the side, so I just kind of try to move the extraction knife away from that. Go around. Like I said, be very careful when you're doing this. If you're really young, you probably shouldn't be using utility knives or whatever, and you probably shouldn't be watching our videos either. So if you're, I say, less than 16 years old, then just turn this off right now. I slice it there. And usually I'll go all the way around, just make an incision on the package. And then when I got it mostly cut, just kind of pop this off here. I'll try to pop it off anyway. And the figure has been removed from the package. And quick pieces falling out. You pop the card out pretty easily. And voila, the card is relatively undamaged. Now there's usually going to be a little bit of excess plastic here. That's fine. That's what the clippers are for. Also, you can just kind of cut around here, or you can use the scissors. I think scissors are going to work a little bit better in this situation. Just kind of chop it off. Now you have the card preserved there for display purposes. And the figure has been removed. The figure is still in good shape. There's some other types of packaging that companies like to use in order to display their figures and also to sell them. The most recently released Brightest Day Wave from DC Direct actually uses a method of removing your figures that a couple other companies like Four Horsemen and also Brightest Day and stuff have started to implement. And basically what they do is they put tape around the edges here, all over the back, and then they make it so that the card just slides out, and then you can pull the blister card out and remove the figure that way. And if you want to redisplay the figure, you just put them back in the blister card, slide that back in there like that, voila, done, and the figure will be right back here in the card. Now, that is a very nice feature. It's very handy, especially for people that like to display their figures and also maybe want to put it back in the package for storage purposes or to display it in package. The drawback to that, and why I don't think a lot of companies are going to use this style, is because if you sell your products at mass retail like Walmart's and Targets and stuff like that, there's a very big shoplifting risk. If you sell your stuff online or at comic book shops and stuff like that, there's much less likelihood of things can be shoplifted. So companies like DC Direct and like Four Horsemen can get away with this packaging, but other companies like Hasbro and Mattel, it's very difficult for them to put mass-produced figures like G.I. Joe or Marvel Universe or something in packaging like this, because people would just steal it. Large box figures like this, the Black Dragon I have here, you know, it's pretty simple. All you do is just cut along the tape on the sides and pull everything out. That's pretty easy. And also, you know, things like this too with the Reveal the Shield lug nut that I have here. Very easy to remove from the package. Just kind of cut around the tape and pull the figure out very gently. These are larger figures, much less likely to be shoplifted, so they don't have to protect them as much in the stores. You know, just a few pieces of tape. Now right here is a Green Goblin from Marvel Universe. Now, the Marvel Universe, they do have some tape on the back, and it does have what looks like it has some tabs and stuff like that you can easily cut and remove the thing. But the problem is the blister card is taped to the front of the box, so it is very difficult to actually remove this without damaging the box. I typically don't really worry about the box when I remove my Marvel Universe figures from them, because I don't collect the cards or anything like that, or have any reason to save the cards afterwards. But like I said before, it is a theft risk if they didn't like glue the card directly, you know, directly to the back and everything like that. But I can kind of show you real quick how one method I learned opening these things and doing it as gently as possible. What I'll do is I'll cut the tape around these tabs on the back and remove them. Once again, be careful with the X-Acto knife. It kind of loosens up the backing a little bit there. And you still kind of cut around the card. It gives you a little bit of leeway as far as removing the back. You can still kind of cut around here a little bit if you want to. Try to preserve the card as much as possible. But the likelihood of you being able to reuse this figure or put this figure back in the card is very, very small. To the point where I don't even bother trying. Maybe one day we will live in a world without repackers or thieves, and then we don't have to worry about all the toy companies having to put their figures so secured and so confined in the package. So here is the Green Goblin removed. Now the card is relatively not damaged. I mean, I guess you could always just slide this back in here and, you know, slide back in, put a couple strips of tape around the outside, and it'll look decent. But like I said, I usually never keep these things in package, and if I do, I just throw away the card. I'm not really too concerned about it. Well, there you have it. That's our my little demonstration on how to remove figures from the card without damaging them. If you have any questions, or if this video helped you, let me know. And like I said, these are just a couple little tips in order for you to open your figures and without destroying them. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed it.